In this video, we'll break down the NFC West, going over each team's chances in the 2021 season, making our order of finish predictions, and whether any team will make it in as a wild card. We'll also talk about a few key fantasy football players from the division. All of that, and how you can win an invaluable prize. Coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael WIley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, so good to be back. Excited for this year. We're going to be doing this, talking about the divisions. We're going to talk about each division over the next few weeks. And for those that are interested to see some of our other videos, we're going to put the links in the description of the videos. So look for those so you can look for our other videos.
Yes, and welcome back, all our loyal subscribers. We miss you guys. If you happen to be new here, what we do is we talk all about the NFL, focusing during the season on NFL survivor pools, season-long fantasy football, and daily fantasy football. Please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss any of our content. Michael, when we're going to look at the NFC West in our prediction for 2021, let's remind ourselves what happened back in 2020.
Yeah. I see your shirt there. You're trying to remind everyone that the Seahawks won the division. They came out strong, then had kind of a mediocre middle, but finished out to make the playoffs. The Rams somehow squeaked into a wild card spot as well, but didn't last very long. And then
they lasted longer than the Seahawks.
That's true. Then the Cardinals finished third and at the bottom after injury to Kittle. And some flubs, the 49ers, after a Super Bowl appearance, ended up last in the division.
How does Las Vegas see the 2021 season in the NFC West working out? It's those last place last year 49ers who are the favorite. Plus 185. What does that mean? You risk $100 to win $185 if you say the Niners will win this division. The Rams are right behind them, plus 190. The Seattle Seahawks, the defending champion, 275.
It's so crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
And Arizona, plus 550. So we'll get into each of those teams. I want to explain a contest that you guys can participate in by entering in the comment section your order of finish of these four teams. And be sure to note if you think whatever teams will make the wild card from this division. Of all the people who get it exactly right at the end of the year, we'll select one person. And we'll do that for each of the divisions we go over. All of those winners will get to meet Michael and myself in a Zoom call. And we will do a show as we preview the playoffs with you. So you can be a part of a fantasy football show. It'll be a lot of fun and it'll be a great chance for us to meet all you guys. So get those comments in. You better put them in before the season starts, Michael. They can't like sneak it in halfway through the season and try to get in.
We'll be holding you to that.
All right. So let's go through, let's just go through the four teams. I got a good place to start, Michael. How about at the top of the standings last year, Seattle Seahawks? It's a little cold in here, Michael. So I just want to make sure people know that I'm a little biased here. Let's talk about my Seahawks. After I make a bet, I'm going to put $100 on the Seahawks to win the division. I can't believe I got $275 I could win. All right. So let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Michael, it's really more of the same this year with the Seahawks. Not a lot of big changes from last year. And I think that's a good thing. They were 12-4 last year. They're 12-4 the year before. Their only big loss on offense was their number 3 wide receiver, David Moore, who Dwayne Eskridge will replace him. And I think they got an upgrade at tight end with the old Ram tight end, Gerald Everett, reunited with his coach, the new offensive coordinator. So I'm feeling good about the Seahawks on the offensive side. How do you break them down offensively?
Yeah, well, I think Everett, I'm not sure. I guess he is an upgrade, although he did drop a few passes during the season, which is one of the reasons Higbee started to get more snaps for the Rams. I mean, they have a lot of offensive weapons. Obviously, DK Metcalf, and with Lockett being re-signed and Carson being re-signed, I think, they're going to have those weapons with, for Russell Wilson to throw to. But the offensive line is still not good. And we saw what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs when their offensive line was exploited. I think it's just going to become more and more challenging. I know Russell Wilson's kind of had to deal with that through the years, but I think teams are doing a better job of exploiting that. And with the defense still being problematic, I think that Vegas got it right, Eric. I apologize to say it like that. And so I think it's going to be a tough year for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks.
Well, I was waiting for you to bring up the offensive line. And let's be honest, it's obviously a concern. But one of their moves was taking one of your guys, one of your Las Vegas Raiders, Gabe Jackson. And what I like of what I've read about Gabe Jackson is he's particularly good at pass protection, which should be protecting Russell Wilson's blind side. Any comment about Jackson, your former guy?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was a loss for the Raiders. I think he is one of the stronger guys that will be on the Seahawks offensive line. So that helps, but it's, patching one of the many holes.
Yeah. On the defense side, I don't think many people realize. People comment about how the offense, they let Russ cook at the beginning of the year and then he quieted down, which is absolutely true. But, some of it had to do with pace of play, but their defense got a lot better. They went from a bottom 5 defense to a top 5 defense based on both points and yards. And it wasn't just magic. I think Carlos Dunlap, who came over from the Bengals, had a big effect on that. Overall, I'm feeling good about the Seahawks this season, but I'm realistic, and this is a tough division. All right, let's go on. The LA Rams.
Yeah,
Michael, take us through the Rams, and what do you look for them in this upcoming year?
Well, the Rams made a change at the spot they had to make a change, and that's with adding Matthew Stafford to man the offense. So that should be huge. That's going to be make a big difference for Woods, Kupp, and Higbee in the passing game. They got Whitworth back to help block for the offensive line, and they still have Donald and Ramsey on the defense. So they're going to be strong. I think their biggest issue has been McVay, honestly. I mean, he's a genius in terms of scheming, but he hasn't shown his ability to make changes in key games. And as the season wears on, it becomes more, more of an issue. Go ahead.
We're gonna find out how good McVay really is this year, because he lost 7 of his coaches, right? Including defensive coordinator who led the #1 defense, Brennan Staley. So it is going to be on him, and it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of I look at the coaches in this division and see how they kind of make good things happen until things matter. And that's something that's got to be really frustrating for all of these teams. McVay, Shanahan as well. Obviously, we saw in the Super Bowl them blow a big lead a couple of years ago. This division is going to beat up. I think they draw the AFC South in terms of their AFC, their competition in the AFC. So they're going to have high records, and this is going to, we'll talk a little bit about where we think are going to shape up, but it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you heavily about the move from Goff to Stafford. I just think it's amazing. Do you know that the Rams last year were only the 5th team in the Super Bowl era to not have any receiver get more than an average of 12 yards per catch? They just didn't have any deep threat. And Goff didn't throw the ball deep, and he also turned the ball over way too much as a quarterback. I'm curious, do you have confidence that they'll be able to turn that around with Stafford? And then they brought in Deshaun Jackson as the new #3 wide receiver, if the guy can actually play and stay healthy. And they drafted Tutu Atwell, who supposedly has blazing speed.
Well, there's no question that Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than the Jared Goff. So I think that we will see them push the ball downfield. But again, it comes to coaching, right? Sean McVay he kind of has this way of trying to use trickeration to accomplish his goals. And I think that can work only so far. And so they need to establish themselves in a way that is going to allow them to move the ball consistently, to counter that strong defense that they will have again this year.
My last comment is just to say that their defense was by far the number one defense, but they lost a couple of people on that defense, including their safety and play caller John Johnson and their defensive tackle Michael Brooks. All right, so let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it may surprise people. We talk about how great this division is. We also talk about parity in the sense that, in the last 6 years, every team in this division has won the division. I was really surprised by that. I didn't know Arizona had won it in the last 6 years, but they have. So anybody could win it. The best way for Arizona to become a division champion this year is to write the NFL and ask them to relocate east of Dallas so they can switch with Dallas. All joking aside, for a team that doesn't get a lot of respect from from Las Vegas and everyone else, Arizona is serious. They want to win the division and win this year. They brought in a ton of veterans. They brought in J.J. Watt. They brought in the corpse that is A.J. Green. Rodney Hudson, center from your Las Vegas team.
And I think they added James Conner on the running back side. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact those folks have. I like Cliff Kingsbury. I like how he runs things there, but I still think they're a couple years away. I think they're going to end at the bottom of the division.
But you know what? They could surprise folks. They do have that level of talent. And last year, if they didn't blow 3 games, they lost to teams with double-digit losses. If they win that game, 8-8 becomes 11-5. But we will see. Let's go to the last team that we need to talk about. Finished dead last year, but Las Vegas predicts they're going to win the division. The San Francisco 49ers. And I'll start, Michael, talking about the thing that everybody knows is that it wasn't the San Francisco 49ers last year. It was the San Francisco 39ers. So I'm going to go through the list. Let me tell you some folks. Starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Starting tight end, George Kittle. Starting defensive end, Nick Bosa and Dee Ford. Wide receiver starter, Deebo Samuels. Running back, Raheem Mostert. Starting safety, Jaquez Tarrant. And starting cornerback, Richard Sherman. All of those players, stars on the team, all miss at least half of the season, Michael. By far the biggest team devastated with injury in all of football last year.
Yeah, and the Nick Bosa and Sherman injuries were really devastating. I mean, those two have such an impact on the field. And the Niners, I think, are known right now for their defensive play. I think there's still some question of what is going to happen at the quarterback position. And so obviously having Kittle back will make a big difference, but it's the defense that wins games for this team. And if Bosa, I don't know if Bosa is going to be 100% to start the season. Do you know?
I do not. We're filming this in early July, and we just don't know it as of this.
Yeah.
This
well,
point.
It was an ACL injury, if I recall correct.
And it was at the beginning of the year. It was in week 2.
It was at the beginning. So he should, based on typical timelines, he should be good to go.
Both Michael and I know a little something about ACL injuries. So Michael, I want to get your coach's mind on this. I anoint you the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Who do you put at quarterback, and how long do you stay with them, or do you commit to them?
Well, I think it's still tempting to believe that Garoppolo learned a lot during the Brady years in New England, and that he can bring that quiet confidence to the field. We saw flashes of it during their Super Bowl season, but then we also saw him not throw accurate passes when he needed to. And so I think I would go with him and continue to, the rookie that they just drafted, I think has some potential, but he's obviously fresh. I don't think any of the backups from last year are the guy. Having Trent Williams come back is important for them. Kyle Juszczyk is re-signed as well. He's, I think, the best fullback in the league. So I think you go with Garoppolo. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, they spent a lot of draft capital to get Trey Lance. They're super high on him. I think you start with Garoppolo. They have a very easy start of their schedule. They play Detroit, Philadelphia, and then Green Bay, who may or may not have Aaron Rodgers as of this moment. And then 2 divisional games against Seattle and Arizona. Then they have the bye. So Garoppolo has every opportunity to do well. If he does not, I would look for a change at the bye week and see them turn it over to Lance. But I do think you got to start with Garoppolo. Give Lance an opportunity to watch from the sidelines. But we'll see. It'll be one of the interesting storylines in this division. Anything else on the Niners before we make our prediction?
I got to tell you how much I love Fred Warner. That kid is a stud out of BYU, my alumni. He has been so important. Actually, even had some good games last year without his key teammates on the field. So I think, with him, Bosa, and Sherman back on the field, their defense should be strong again.
And I've been talking a lot about the schedule. I just want to comment that the Niners have an unbelievable advantage over the Rams and the Seahawks based on the schedule. Obviously, a bunch of games are the same in the division, the AFC South and the NFC North. But there are 3 bonus games while Seattle is playing Pittsburgh, Washington, New Orleans, and the Rams are playing Baltimore, the Giants, and Tampa Bay. Look who they get. They get Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. So, that's the advantage of finishing last year. So, all right. So, Michael, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first for the predictions?
I got it here. So, I think that you kind of helped me with this. I was already partially going this way because the defense being strong there. I think unless Garoppolo blows it, the Niners should finish first in this division. I think the Rams should be a strong second, but it'll be interesting to see how close the Seahawks can make it for that third spot. Can both the Seahawks and the Rams get wild card spots? I think they could. I think you could see both teams make it.
All right, I want to make sure where you got to put your flag in the stand. Who you not could they? What teams will make it as a wild card on your list?
Well, I still have to spend a little time on the other divisions, but I think for sure we're going to get one, which means I'm saying the Rams will be a wild card this year. So I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and support my guy Eric and say the Seahawks are going to sneak in that last wild.
Oh, you saved yourself from.
You're way off. I say you're way off this time.
How many years in a row the Seahawks made the playoffs under Russell Wilson?
I don't know. What is it? 9?
Yeah. So I am putting the Seattle Seahawks to repeat as champions, and I have the Rams right behind them in the standings. The 49ers I have third, and then Arizona fourth. And like you, I think there will be 3 wildcard teams from this division. 2 wildcard teams because Seattle gets in as a division winner. The Rams and the Niners getting in. Mostly because of their schedule, I'm going to push the Niners in. I still think I'm not 100% sold on Garoppolo. And although I do believe if someone's looking at this video 7 years from now, Trey Lance will be very good. But I think as a rookie, I think he's going to make some mistakes. So, Michael, let's talk a little fantasy because we're also very much of a fantasy channel, both for season long and DFS. Is there any individual player who you really would like to talk about from this division?
There's a plenty of folks that I think are going to put up some big numbers this year. We saw what D-Hop did last year. Deebo Samuel started to come on pretty strong. But I think the sleeper in this division right now is Matthew Stafford. I think that he has a nice offensive core with Cooper Kupp and Woods and Higbee at the tight end spot. I think you're going to see them finally push the ball a little bit more. They're going to turn more into a passing team than from a running team. I'm not sure that Stafford will put up exactly the same numbers that he has in some of his best years in Detroit, but I think he's going to turn back into a top 5 or 6 quarterback. So he's going to be the sleeper that we'll see this year.
Michael, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to see normal NFL football? As a Seahawks fan, I actually would glad that we'll have fans again in the Seattle stadium and actually get that advantage. How pumped are you for the upcoming season?
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And I'm not the only one. I was looking up Raider tickets the other day. It's crazy how much they're going for right now. Just to be in the nosebleeds, it's basically $1,000 ticket right now. So I think the world is ready for football. I'm ready for football. Let's get at it.
All right. Well, until we see you next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.